What is good? Osiris here, stuck in the middle. And I was going to play this video that happened with the Netflix protesting yesterday, but weird things with these videos where there's copyrights and all this kind of stuff where they get taken down quickly. So I'm not going to play it in this video, but I'm going to describe it. I'll put a link to a tweet from Andy No where that video is still up. What happened in that video is someone who there was we all know that there was a protest from Netflix employees and allies against the Dave Chappelle The Closer special. There was a counter protester who was saying stuff like jokes are good, I like Dave, whatever. And he had a sign that said supported Dave Chappelle. Some of the allies of the Netflix posters took the sign from the guy, broke it, so he had a stick and then, a little poster on top of it, took the sign, broke the poster part off of it. And the part I want to focus on is as soon as they broke the sign off of the stick, holding it up, somebody said, he's got a weapon. Really bizarre. And some people thought it was funny. I have a tweet here. The guy who breaks the sign immediately saying he's got a weapon is pure comedy. It's not funny. If somebody has a weapon, then that means you can eliminate that threat, whether it's wrestling them to the ground or to the ultimate elimination of the threat. He wasn't threatening with the stick. He had the stick because he was holding up a sign. They took the sign, broke the poster, left him with nothing but a stick, then immediately said he's got a weapon. Somebody on Twitter said wooden sticks can be fatal. Fact, they can be sharpened into a spear. They can also be used like a baseball bat. Blunt head trauma is nothing to joke about. Please read a book on self-defense and then reconsider your note that this is comedy when lives are clearly on the line. That's on Twitter, but it happened in real life. This isn't just something on social media. Please don't say that. If anybody says this stuff is only on social media, they're absolutely wrong. We see examples of this every day in real life. So you could say it starts there, it festers there, it's the accelerant, but it is in real life. It's not just something that happens in social media, this madness. You might be surprised to hear this, maybe not, but those protesters, the Netflix protesters, the George Floyd protesters, many of them, most of them, Antifa, many of them, most of them, all have good in their heart. They're all good-hearted at their core. The vast majority of them. They are good-hearted. We have to start with that. It's more than that. They're sick. They're obviously not doing well mentally. If you break somebody's sign, leave them with the stick they were holding the sign, then accuse them of having a weapon, something's wrong with you mentally. Off. Something is really, really bad off. You're sick. You need to get help. I want to make sure that my biggest takeaway, though, is they're out there because they're good-hearted. They're out there because of that. Why am I bringing that up? I'm bringing that up because I think common people are losing. We, common people who believe in the ideology of our founding fathers and the Constitution, we are losing. The elitists are using a human mascot to literally rickroll us, and there's nothing common people can do about it. In fact, you can't even talk about these topics without being censored. We're not winning. They are up 30 points doing flips before they cross the goal line. You saw the Arizona State University incident. It's not just that. Netflix protesting, looking to cancel Dave Chappelle. Antifa running wild, not even discussed on the mainstream, much less criticized. We are not winning. Again, we who believe in the founding, ideas of this country that have been adapted because they weren't perfect and things weren't perfect back then, but they have been adapted, and that does correspond with liberty. Because I have gone to the libertarian side, dabbling in that right now. One thing people are confused about, like Vosh calls himself a libertarian socialist. That is not contradictory. under libertarianism, you wouldn't really have state lines, you would have tribes. And his tribe could be a socialist tribe, it could be a commune. The tribe that I'm talking about is the tribe that would separate and still use the Constitution. No reason to recreate the real. So I am dabbling in libertarianism, and I do believe in the Constitution. Still, we're losing. I appreciate people like Steve Bannon and James Lindsay who, if you post on their timeline that we're losing, well, not Steve Bannon, but James Lindsay, he'll block you. He's like, I don't want that negative energy. I understand that, respect that. But if we're not honest, then we can't start turning this around. We're losing. We're not winning. We're losing big. And I wouldn't do this channel, I wouldn't be on here if I didn't think we could win. So I'm not going to be taking people down or being negative. In the long run, I think we will win and can win, but right now we're getting our ass kicked. Literally. What's my takeaway? My takeaway is that those people are good-hearted. And here's where we're losing. The power structure that's set up right now with the uniparty establishment left that includes Democrats and Republicans, anyone who believes, let's draw this line, anyone who believes in critical race theory, that critical race theory should be taught in schools, anyone who's lying and saying critical race theory and practice isn't being taught in schools, anyone who believes in vaccine mandates, you are who I'm talking about in the establishment structure. It doesn't matter about political party. You could be any part. You could be a libertarian, libertarian for mandates. Then you're in this establishment left. The power structure is to feed on the good of people. The elitists that are running our country are less than 1% of the population. They cannot run our country unless they control people at the bottom. And that's what you see with the Netflix employees trying to cancel Dave Chappelle. They are the power of the 1%. That's why you see Antifa marching in favor of mandates, in favor of more government. They are the power of the government. That's the only reason they haven't squatted them like flies. The establishment could have squashed Black Lives Matter like this. Instead, they controlled it. They could squash Netflix. They're firing people who aren't getting an injection in their shoulder. They can wipe you out if they wanted to. There's a quid pro quo in this authoritarian leftist mindset that those at the top give those at the bottom localized power. That's what happened with the Arizona State situation where the young ladies kicked these white cis males out of the critical multicultural section. That's the quid pro quo. We don't go after Joe Biden. We don't go after Nancy Pelosi. We don't go after institutional power. We leave you alone. Nicole Hannah-Jones doesn't go after institutional power. None of them do. We have power at localized level. We can go after anyone who doesn't believe our beliefs, cancel them, kick them out, say they have a weapon when they don't have a weapon, say they're a threat to society, anything up until the ultimate termination of death. That's where that's heading. We're not there fully. I know there's people who can't get transplants because they don't have the V. So we're getting there. We're approaching that asymptote. That's the situation. And we can't reach those people unless we tap into the good in their heart. The people who are protesting at Netflix, the people at Antifa, they feel like they're doing good. You might watch Star Wars. And my wife isn't into action movies and she likes it a little bit, but people look at this stuff like it's silly. Or Star Trek The Next Generation. I was watching Star Trek The Next Generation. She's looking at me like I'm crazy, which I understand. She's not into that type of stuff. But the writing is incredible. I don't have great recall when it comes to movies, so excuse me. But in one of the episodes, I think it was episode 3 of Star Wars. So these are the prequels that happened after the originals. Anakin, who is Darth Vader. This is Darth Vader before he turns into Darth Vader. his family gets slaughtered by, I don't even remember who slaughters his family, his mother and the people who adopted him, I guess, whatever. They got slaughtered. And he got pissed because it was wrong. It was evil. And the reason why he turned to the dark side was because actually he had good in his heart, and he felt like if he became a totalitarian, he could force good throughout the universe. That's what they're just young Anakins there. I know that sounds funny, but I believe that. And what the establishment is doing to manipulate them is to tap into the good of their heart. Some of them are insecure because of different reasons, insecure because of race or gender or anything else, or they are secure in their gender or race, and they feel like they've got to have power to make everybody else see the world they see the way they see the world. They want to cure homeless. They have good in their heart. They don't want any homeless people. They don't want any racism. And the establishment sees that and just sees, oh, these people have good in their heart, but they're easily manipulated. So they basically say, you have the power to do things on a localized level as long as you don't mess with us. And I'm going to end with this. The challenges for me and everyone else is how do you, the people, to reach people like that, we're not going to win unless we reach some of those people. I know that sounds crazy. Until we reach the level of heartache in the world, in our country, to the point where you see MAGA reaching out to people who are protesting Netflix, we're not going to win. So that might be a downer, or maybe I'm crazy. Until you see that happen, and you see a little bit of it, but not on a grand scale, because the establishment has the Republicans and Democrats in their group. The populists don't. Populists left and right are not together. Until you see that divide being conquered across race and gender, then we're not going to turn this around and win. And once that starts happening, it will take generations. So it's not happening now. I say we'll take generations. We're looking at 20, 40 years out the road. That's just my opinion. But how do we tap into their good-hearted nature? Not to manipulate, but to reach them and to agree with them and say, hey, we do care about your race. It's just not the number one thing. Country has to be first. But here we do care about homelessness. That's why it pissed me off when so many people were going after Mayor Pete Buttigieg because of his paternity leave. You can't do that. Go after him for the substance, the lack of production, where he's struggling, but you go after him for paternity leave and make all these jokes. We can't come together. We can't reach the people that Mayor Pete and others are manipulating. If you look like evil, they're not going to come over. You've got to get some of them. I'm not saying all of them. I don't know if it's 10%, 25%. And get some of them and say, look, the people at the top are manipulating you. They don't want good. They're not doing any good. Why don't you ever attack them? You're going after Dave Chappelle? I know Netflix is pretty high up there, but it's you're aiming your ire at the wrong place. Here's where we can work together. And you have to create a structure to give them power. That it's difficult. Donald Trump came up with this social network, but he's so toxic, you're never going to get 10 to 25% of the people protesting Netflix to be under a Donald Trump sponsored or, type of thing. It's going to have to be somebody different. It's going to have to be somebody new. Let me know what your thoughts are. It's the good. How do you tap into, and I'm not compromising my beliefs. I'm not compromising my beliefs, the Constitution, judging people by the content of their character, no compromises. But I'm going to reach out to you and say, I know you have good in you. Let's work on that. I'm not doing anything based on identity. But here's the things that I'm doing, and look how it's benefiting you and everybody. Maybe it's not possible. I'm just ranting. Let me know what you think. Take care.